for more perspective on what's happening now on the front lines, we'd like to bring in Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus, spokesperson for the Israeli Defense Forces. Lieutenant Colonel, thanks for being here. I'd like to start, if you can, by giving us I'd like to start, if you can, by giving us an update on the situation with the hostages.
Yes, the situation with the hostages is a very complex one. We're looking at a 1,300-piece puzzle. Why that number? Because 1,300 is the amount of Israeli casualties. And what we're trying to do is to identify all of the casualties we've had in Israel and then understand who is missing, who is dead, which is usually faster, and who has been taken hostage. Our hostages are held in Gaza by Hamas. They took women, children, the elderly, babies, and disabled people into Gaza. And as of today, we completed those yesterday, local operations along the border in order to collect more information that could shed some light on the situation. And we have a special task force led by a two-star general with all of the intelligence resources that the state of Israel can bring to bear that are focused on this task.
So when it comes to the next phase of what happens right now in this war, what are your priorities?
So what we've been doing over the last day and a half approximately is to prepare the battlefield for the intensification of our combat operations. We have asked Gazan civilians in northern Gaza to evacuate to the south so that they are out of an area that is going to be an active combat zone. Hopefully, they will heed those warnings. Many have already done so, more than 400,000 the last time I heard an estimate. But many are being stopped by Hamas, and Hamas is actively preventing them from doing so, most likely with an intention of causing civilian casualties in order to exasperate the situation and use for their political purposes. What we are also doing as we speak is we continue our military operations against military targets, and I want to emphasize that. We strike Hamas and its military targets wherever commanders are present, wherever fighters are, wherever they're firing rockets from, or their logistics centers, their command and control, and anything else, weapon storage facilities, where Hamas is, those are the locations that we're striking, and that is ongoing as well. The next stage will be an intensification of our operations, and the aim of our operation is to dismantle Hamas and its military capabilities to make sure that Hamas will never again have the ability to kill or abduct or threaten Israeli civilians.
You just touched on it a little bit there, but I want to ask you a question that people all over the world want to know, as it seems inevitable that your forces are going to go in on the ground. In the case of the people in Gaza who can't get out, how will your soldiers be able to avoid civilian targets? Is there an order that has been given? It's going to be very difficult to do so, but how do you plan to do that?
It is indeed, I agree with you, it is a difficult environment, dense, lots of buildings, lots of, hopefully less. Listen, we act according to the law of armed conflict. That means that we distinguish and we differentiate between enemy and non-combatant, and wherever applicable and wherever the situation on the ground will allow us to do so, we will spare the lives of civilians, and we will try to apply our force in such a way that it causes minimal damage to civilians. That's one thing. But second thing, we have to be clear. This is a war. This is not another military operation. Hamas has brought this upon us, and we are now responding to a situation. And yes, we will employ significant military capabilities wherever our troops will be and wherever Hamas is. So it's an environment that is difficult and dangerous for civilians. We will do our best not to strike civilians. They are not our enemy. But unfortunately, as has been seen many times all over the world in different combat zones, if civilians are present, unfortunately, they stand a risk of getting injured. That is why we're asking them to evacuate.
Before you go, we do have one quick question. We have confirmation that the Israeli Air Force struck the Aleppo airport in Syria a few days ago. I'm curious, was that an airstrike connected to at all your current operations against Hamas?
If you have confirmation, it's not from us because I don't remember issuing one. But I will say this. The Iranian regime is the world's largest exporter of terrorism. And they have their tentacles in Lebanon, in the Gaza Strip, in Iraq, in Syria, in Yemen, and many other locations. And I think that whatever happened, and I'm not confirming or denying, whatever happened at that airport is most likely related to the regional aspect of what's going on. And that was perhaps something for the Iranians to consider in terms of the future here, because at the end of the day, what we're dealing with is one of Iran's proxies that they have built, equipped, and funded and trained around us, not the biggest one. Hezbollah in Lebanon is the biggest one, and we are now dealing with one of those Iranian proxies, and our intention is for these to be the last days of Hamas as a military organization.
Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus, spokesperson for the Israel Defense Forces. We appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Right. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.